Hi, everyone. This is Lady Rebekah the Gentle of Southbrent. And today we're going to be talking about history of the woad, or worldwide woad, or War of the Woads. We were having fun when we were putting this together about how to use the word woad. Today we're going to be discussing the making of the paint, the plant, the cultivation of the plant. And during the class, we'll learn how to actually make a paste that we can actually start and use for this gorgeous blue color that we just all love. And I remember from a very early age, blues were always one of my very, very favorite. And when I started learning more about my culture and started seeing the different things that they did, the paint, the woad, it just brings me back. I feel like I belong back there. It's just one of my very, very favorite colors. And it does change in color depending on what you use. Now we're going to be going over 3 different types of plants as well. And we're going to have the recipes for the mixes that we're going to be talking about so that you can take it. And if you look on the second page, if you have a handout, we are going to have a quiz. It is the Flash Woad quiz. Okay. This plant, which is Isatis Tinctora, was what we got our woad from. Excuse me, I'm still getting used to my teeth and talking without my teeth. So if you don't understand things, please ask me. That would be the best. That would be the best part. You can harvest. It's biennial, but you can harvest it first year. Because the leaves is what you use. When it goes to seed, then you can collect those seeds and save them to cultivate for next year. According to what I have researched, July and August are the best months. And I take a look at the globe and I kind of go from North America, Canada, Europe, Asia, all along this northern hemisphere area where the plant can be found in many places in the world. So we're going to also be talking about how it got to where we are now as well. Cutting the leaves from the first year woad plants, cut them next to the base, okay? And we're going to be actually taking, I do not have woad, I do have some indigo, and we're discussing the relationship between woad and indigo as well. First thing we're going to do though is we're going to plant a couple. And what I would recommend, since it's, they say July, August, weather, UK, kind of where we are, I lived up north. I'm going to take a couple things, I've already filled them, and now they're on my computer. But I've already filled them. And what I'm going to do is, because I have read in my research that it really kind of likes an alkaline soil. As I was also doing research and finding out how to get the seeds and such, you can buy actual woad plants online. I found that out on Amazon. They actually have plants that you can purchase to use in case you don't have good luck raising seeds up. I'm not a great green thumb. I'm a okay green thumb. But they did say that you should have the soil a little bit alkaline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to only add a quarter teaspoon of baking soda to my little pot here. Just a little bit. Just to make sure that it's getting the alkaline it needs. So, here we go, I'm going to add a little bit to that. I'm only planting 2, so we won't be here planting 25 seeds. Okay. On the first page of your handout, you'll see a picture of the, where is it? Hold on 1 second, please, sorry. A picture of the plant in different forms. You'll see the top, the leaves of the seeds, etc. So it kind of shows you the flower and everything. It's actually, for a beautiful blue color, it has yellow flowers. And I always thought that was cool. I put them up as my cover photo at one point. And I said, that is actually Isatis Tinctora. They're yellow. So I'm going to take my seeds. The seeds that I purchased come from Palm Beach. It's medicinal herb as well. So a lot of times you can find woad seeds through herb and medicinal ways as well. The seeds are kind of distinct. They don't even look like a seed. They look like something I'd throw away. But they're very, very tiny. I don't know if you can see that. And extremely flat and thin. Okay, according to these seeds, I am to sprinkle them on the surface and barely cover them. So you don't want them too deep, because what's going to happen is they won't come out in time. So that is what we're doing. I'm going to put 2 or 3 seeds just to give myself a fighting chance, for that they'll grow. And if they start growing, then I can transfer them as they get larger. Okay, so I'm barely covering them. Again, these can be purchased through herbal, flowers, medicinal areas. Woad was well known for being part of a traditional Chinese medicine. So it does have medicinal purposes, as well as painting your skin blue and having a very pretty yellow flower. Okay, and we are now going to water them. Barely cover. They take about 10 days to germinate. So you'll know if you're not seeing anything by 10 days, as far as it coming through the surface, then you're going, no, then it planted too far down. And so luckily, since I don't have my own garden, per se, I live in an apartment and I have my patio with things. Because of the fact that Florida is so hot, I am not going to cultivate these outside. I'm going to cultivate them inside. What I'm going to use is a grow lamp. I'm going to be starting them. I do have a sunlight lamp that I used when I was up north. And I'm going to use that light in order to start to cultivate the seeds. So because it's Florida. Now, if I was up north, I'm originally from the east. I also lived in Asilmark. If I was up north, I would get the plants and I'd plant them outside, because that would be their area, their zone in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York area. So these are going to sit for 10 days. And I'll put a picture up on Starhaven to see if these flowers actually came up and we were successful. So there we go. We are cultivating. Okay. Now, when they get, they're going to grow quite tall. The leaves are going to kind of be rabbit ear type of leaves. And when they do recommend that you harvest the first year. It is biennial. If you harvest it the first year, then the next year you're going to get some great stalks and you're going to get some great seeds. So just follow the life of that particular plant and how it's doing. What they're going to do is they would take, okay, say the plants say about this big around at the base. They would go at the bottom towards the base and rip them out, usually by hand. I haven't, seen they would, and get to maybe 1,250 grams of leaves is what they state here. Don't tear them too small because then when you strain them, they may go through the strainer. And we don't want them, but you're going to get what you need from those torn leaves, those hand torn leaves. And we do have resources as well that I can forward to you stating how they did this. Process those leaves as soon as you can from harvest. They are a green, bluey type of leaf, kind of more, I'm trying to go to a Crayola color and I can't really think it. It's more of a green blue and not a blue green, if that makes any sense. Okay, you're going to want to process those leaves as soon as possible after harvesting, usually within an hour. You can't process the woad straight away. Keep the leaves in a closed plastic carrier bag and in cool shade, but not in the fridge. Okay, I think the fridge would probably do too much damage to the skin of the leaf. Making of the dye is a few steps, but we'll try to make it easy to remember. In this class, we're going to go over the traditional woad, and we're going to go over a paint woad that in my research I found from somebody who is a LARPer. I'm not quite sure where she is, but it was a wonderful article giving you a modern way of making woad paint quickly. Say if you want to decorate for court, or like our wonderful queen, they were all decked out in their woad before, during crown list. So I'm kind of doing this in honor of her as well, because we do share a similar persona background. I told her that I was doing the woad, the history of the woad, in honor of Queen Maisie. All right. Also, woad was used tremendously in textiles, of course, for that blue color that you want. So we find, I find a lot of things online, and what they say online is, let me get my point again here. There's different dyes we're going to be going over later, and that's blue, yellow, and red, that were used, and also quite used a lot on the Bayou Tapestry as well. It's been used medicinally again, and it's known to be used in China and Japan. And we do have, on one of the pages of the handout, you'll see that there is a picture. Now that flower is a little bit more pinky, kind of a pinky type of color. And that's Isatis Japonica. And that's what they would have that they used in the East. And from what I understand, it goes back quite a ways, back to tombs of emperors and things like that, where they were able to find a lot of the blue coloring that they used in that area. So it kind of made its way through the trade routes from Asia into Germany area. And being a Celt myself, I was doing some research, and of course it was found in Hallstatt. And Hallstatt was in Austria, and it was right in our temperature zone. So they used a lot as far as there as well. Another plant that has traveled quite far is the Indigofera tinctora. And the Indigofera tinctora is what we know as our indigo in the North America. And that's what they used, of course, when they were dyeing many different things. In modern age, Levi Strauss used it for dyeing denim for pants and such. And the Indigofera is what we find a lot of here in our area, but Isatis Tinctora, which is the original woad, that can be found as well. And in some places, both of them are considered evasive and kind of weedy. So you may be able to find some out in the forests, the pastures, the prairies, where, you know, they may have been able to grow it as well, being that it's within those zones. The color of Indigofera is a little bit more blue-black. It's a little bit darker. So you see lots of different pictures of somebody dressed in woad that's kind of dark black color, and then one that's bright blue. The one we're going to be using is going to be a woad blue. I will not be able to make it here, as I was not able to get woad powder. Woad powder, though, I do know was found in Pennsic, that there was a table at Pennsic that always had woad powder as well. So it can be ordered online. If you take a look at some of the, if you look at some of the different sites for cultural, agricultural, etc. Even a lot of history sites have it now as well. So it was, again, woad was a little bit lighter, but Indigofera tinctora is what we call indigo. Archaeological evidence shows that the use of woad was found in ancient dye digs. So in archaeological digs where they're going, they've been able to find woad in ancient Egypt as well. Ancient Egypt was all about color. They had to have their color. They used lapis stone to make blue. They used woad to make blue. They used madder to make red. They, you know, they loved color. It's a shout out to our Egyptian friends out there. Seeds have been found in sheds of dyers. There's been a few digs where they had some actual dyer shops that were able to be brought out and dug up. And they go back to the Neolithic period. So our ancestors obviously, you know, learned their plants and their stuff and what could be used for this and what could be used for that. And I just find the continuing history of that, I think that's kind of cool. I really like that. Also, another historic term, in a quote from Chaucer, he says, "No matter weld or wood, no Leicester ne knew the fleece of his former hue." So we know that we had weld, which is also woad, in Chaucer's, and it was used quite often. And it was known because the word leticier means a dyer, somebody who would have dyed fabric or created dyes. So regular ones was madder, which was red. And then there was also another one, which is wheeled, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, and the woad blue, and these were all found in the Bayeux Tapestry. So we do have a lot of history going back to how it was used. It wasn't just painted on our faces to make us look fierce. It had a lot of other purposes, and it got to be quite, by the Middle Ages, quite an industry. In the process of making woad, it was all over Europe, it was all over Asia, It was regularly traded against merchant routes. Woad merchants became very rich. Trade agreements went out in 1286 to all of Europe. A trading agreement was drawn up between Silesia, Saxony, France, Germany. They were all part of this trade agreement for woad. Forgot it, because it was not just used, again, to paint us ourselves, to make us look fierce. It was a well-known, used plant that had many different purposes as far as coloring, fixing color on a light cloth, etc. As far as the trading, we know that indigo probably went from China to North America because indigo had made it to Vasco da Gama. And Vasco, it kind of brought it to the New World. Again, being that it was in our zone, it could have been everywhere, from the steppes all the way, to Canada, to that indigo is ours, and it's regularly used in textiles and can be found in many massive amounts online. You can get it almost anywhere. And today, actually, I will be pretending to mix. I don't know if you can see it. This is an indigo. I don't know if you can see it now? That is an indigo hair dye that I purchased because I was not able to purchase any woad powder. Again, I'm going to check that and see if I can find myself some so that I can start learning how to make it myself, and I can be useful in helping other personas who use this and learn how to make some of this stuff, not just cultivate it, but, use a little bit of art and try and decorate and experiment. And that's part of the fun of the SCA. That's part of our dream of trying to, I was like, oh, I can't wait to do my class because, you want to mix this and I want to mix that together. And it's kind of one of our SCA joys, I think, folks. We're going to talk right now about the traditional recipe. And I'm really just going to show you some of the tools. I did not have freshly harvested woad, so I could not make some here right away. I even bought, I was right here, I even bought my own little electric griddle so that I could make it right here. Unfortunately, I was not able to get that. So you're going to take a pot of some sort. Okay, preferably stainless, because if you use anything else, you may end up having coloration issues. This cleans very well, and as a matter of fact, my marble worked very well also when I was working with the mortar and pestle. So you're going to put your woad seed, your woad leaves right in here with some, and boil the water, but don't let it get over 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, if you do that, the colors will not come out nearly as well and as rich, and will almost kind of end up being a soggy mess for your mix. So you only want to do it. So I would definitely recommend that you get yourself, if you don't have one, that you get yourself a thermometer to go ahead and test that and make sure it doesn't get up over 180 degrees. All right. You're going to do that and cook it at a temperature, 175, for about 10 minutes. And then you have to slowly cool it down. But you have to cool it down. Okay, let me change this. You have to do it quickly, but you don't want to rush it. That's probably the better way to do it. Okay, so what they recommend, from they being the research, different people who I got my information from, state that the easiest way to cool it down is to fill your sink or a bowl or something like that with ice, and then stick the actual pot right onto the ice, and then it will slow down. What you want to do is you want to get it down to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I use Fahrenheit because I'm still having Celsius issues, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, once you have it down to 120, the first thing you're going to want to do is get gloves on. So have some latex vinyl gloves, whatever you want to use. And you're going to start straining that liquid. And you can use a regular strainer. I would recommend a small hold metal colander. Because anything that you would use that might be a plastic or something else may get stained. So, you know, I personally don't mind having woad stains on things that I own, but not everybody probably would like that. You're going to cook that liquid at about 120 and keep it going. Okay. Okay, once you've strained out all the liquid, excuse me, I have to get my pages correct here. Okay, you've strained all that liquid, and you want to keep that liquid at about 120 degrees Fahrenheit anyway. But just strain it, use gloves, smush it out of the strainer, get as much liquid as you can when you're done with that. And then I will let you know what we do next. So we have to regroup. We have an electric stove that I'm using, could be fired, I'm sure, because that's all they could use was fire. We have the pot, we have the thermometer. So these are all pieces that you're gonna want if you do want to place this. And that's why I'm kind of showing them and reminding you that these are what's needed. There's a lot of little steps, but once you start processing how to do it, it becomes quite easy and understandable to get all the different things that you need in it. So we are then, at that point, it's going to look a different color. It's not going to look blue. It's going to look greenish brown, very similar to the indigo. Okay, it'll be greenish brown. To that liquid, you're going to take soda ash, which is also easily gotten online. And you're going to put 3 teaspoons of, okay, three of these into that mixture, that green-brown mixture, okay? Okay, so you have the liquid and the ash will kind of make that liquid a little bit more pasty. But if you continue to aerate that liquid when it's at 120 and potash is in it, you're going to aerate it. And what you're going to use, you can use a whisk. I have my handy dandy manual mixer, and I grew up with these, and so I do end up using my mixer a lot. And you're going to aerate. You're going to keep going. You're going to aerate until you start seeing a what's the word? You start seeing that bluish tint starts to come out as you aerate it. Okay. Then you let it sit for about 3 hours. It's going to need to ferment a little bit. So at this point, you have your liquid, which is greenish brown, and then you add your soda ash and aerate it with a whisk. You can use a manual mixer. You can use an electric mixer. When you start to see the blue color during this process, you're going to let it ferment for 3 hours. What that is called is couching the product. So during this time, the water will evaporate little bit at a time, and you're left with the pigment separating from the liquid. What they recommend, I don't have an empty one right here. I have a cordial one, but I would recommend probably a mason jar or some sort of sealed jar. It doesn't have to be a tight seal, but it should be a sealed jar. Take that mixture and put it into the mason jar. Okay. Whatever liquid is left, again, we'll make it separated. You may have to couch it a couple more times. That's okay. You want the liquid to be clear and the pigment being separated and on the bottom. You then will siphon off any remaining water, leaving only pigment in that jar. Okay? And then that's the stuff you kind of hold on to and use. That's the powdered, you know, what they used to do is make woad balls. And that you can do that using the soda ash. And you can take it and you can rub these and make little green balls and then start breaking off pieces and then make another batch. With a modern, excuse me, the modern recipe, we're going to be using whiskey. So I'll explain how that works. On that page of the handout is the picture that I thought was on the other page, and that is the 3 branches. And you'll see the top is the yellow flower, and then you have like a seed pods underneath that, and then you have those seeds. And as you can tell, especially when I tried to show it to you, they're fairly long and thin. Okay, I thought that was kind of, you know, kind of shows the bits and the pieces of the plant that you need to use. Excuse me, I have to cough for a moment. I apologize. Okay. For the modern recipe, I would go ahead online and I would purchase woad powder. That would be the easiest way. If you're doing this on, say you're on the road and you're going from event to event to event, I would just purchase some and have it available to, that's what this recipe is for. This recipe is only good to be worn in 1 day at a time. So you'd have to make the next recipe tomorrow. It's a very simple recipe, and again, this lady is a LARPer who is very, very familiar with the SCA, has not signed up to the SCA, but she does reach out to us. And the article showed some great designs, and that those designs are on the next couple pages. Excuse me, again, I have asthma, guys, I apologize. That must be all my talking. That's probably it. So in this particular case, we're going to use a mortar and pestle. Now they recommend a mushroom mortar and pestle. I do not have a mushroom one, but I do have this great white pestle that mortar and pestle that a lot of people have. So you're going to want to use your mortar and pestle for this. You want 1 packet of powdered woad, which is about 5 grams. So I don't know where she gets her powdered woad, but it would be about 5 grams, and that is in the recipe in your handout. She also uses whiskey. which I have right here. Whiskey actually helps a lot. The qualities of the whiskey actually makes it easier to paint with. She has a pinch of rosemary. I just kind of put it in a shot glass so you can see it. I didn't have any ground rosemary, so I just kind of went and pulsed it for about 5 minutes in my my blender, those little ninja things. So I kind of ground it up. And the reason she uses this is that the smell of woad is not the best. It's not the most fragrant thing. So by adding the pinch of rosemary, it gives it a little bit a different type of things. So what she's going to do is she's going to, where's my things? She's going to take that woad, okay? This is indigo, remember, that I'm using. It may or may not work, but for the purposes that I need, it will be fine. So I've got a couple grams of the indigo powder in here. And then I'm going to add to it two teaspoons of whiskey. Now, one of the funny things I know about this girl, and of course, in this day and age, especially, we cannot do it. But the people that she paints, they have to know that's how she makes her woad. What she does is she takes the two teaspoons of, excuse me, she takes the 2 teaspoons of whiskey, sticks it in her mouth, and then spits it into the mortar and pestle. Again, and this time we wouldn't do that, obviously, but this was kind of her LARPer thing, and it says the ones that know that I paint know that I spit into it. So we're not going to do that. We are going to add the 2 teaspoons of whiskey. 1 and 2. Then it says to put a pinch of ground rosemary. Into the mixture. And then take your, and just start mixing it a little bit. You're going to start to get a paste, and you're going to start to see a little bit of change color when you do this. She recommends the mushroom mortar and pestle again, which is where you have the bowl and then you have the whole bottom of that particular, I always get him, is this one the pestle? Somebody say yes. So.
Yes, the thing in your hand is the pestle.
Pestle, thank you. I just say it all at once, usually the mortar and pestle. So,
well, it's a set. You can usually just do that.
Yeah. And she recommends the use of that as being a little bit quicker and getting her mixed together. Okay. What she's going to then do is okay. So what that does is it helps mix up your concentrate. Then you're going to take a half teaspoon, not even a teaspoon, a half teaspoon of that mix, that concentrate. All she says to use. 2 more teaspoons of whiskey. This lady liked her whiskey, I think. I think the main reason that she uses it is that while you're using it to put it onto your body, you want the water part to evaporate, and alcohol evaporates a little bit quicker. So I think for her purposes. Okay, and then what you would take is, I do not have a brush, but you would take a very small amount. I'll just have a little bamboo here thing I'm using. A really small amount of gum arabic. Now you notice it was not in the other things that we did so far as a traditional recipe. What the gum arabic does in this particular mix is it works as a fixative of the paint to your skin. And it just seems to add a little bit more of that. And what she uses is a squirrel mop paintbrush. She finds that those are the easiest ones to use to make your designs. So you would take your brush. As a matter of fact, the small amount of gum arabic that she uses is just a small, put the tip of the brush in the gum arabic and mix it in. Okay, now this, of course, is not the color I want. But as you can see, let me do it again. There is a little bit of change of color there. And of course, their indigo is much more of, excuse me, there I am. It's, oh, I forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad with this. Anyway, what she recommended is that you put that little bit amount of fixing in it. Our woad, and I'm looking forward to actually ordering powder and making woad because of the color that woad comes out. Indigo is very much more of a black and blue type of, it's a much deep, richer color. Both of these were used by, the Vikings, the Celts, the Brits, the Bretons, those, both can be used. As a matter of fact, because of the trade agreement in 1236, factories and trading routes and areas of port, I guess, for a lack of another word, it was all a very intricate thing to make sure that the dyers had their colors to use. And by having that and making a good business out of it, many people became rich. Factories, industry grew up everywhere, from Germany all the way over, to England, etc. Except we did have one problem though, is that it was so popular that a certain queen who we think had red hair, who lived in a palace, she did not like the smell. And she says, there will be none that I can smell from the palace. None at all. And it continued to hold its popularity for quite a few years. And as a dyer, as a natural dyer, there's many people still using the Isatis Tinctora for their fabrics and such as a dye. So this particular story was so, I just, again, it works with me. I'm very much a blue person. I'm very much a Celt, and I think I knew that from the time I was a little girl. But woad, again, there's so much more to it. It's medicinal as well. And they say that it helps many different, I was shocked by what they said that was going to be shocked by what they were saying. Again, I apologize for any jitteriness or words that I did not pronounce correctly. I'm so glad we have this particular type of venue to use to learn, because I love to take classes, but I end up going to an event and I have such a time. So, well, should I go there? Or oh, I told them I would chop stuff in the kitchen. And I end up not going to a lot of classes. And I really enjoyed today. And I want to thank our particular shire, Starhaven, for making this available. Again, there are very, very many. And I think the story of Maisie and Kern, as well as Trimaris Populus, have put up a schedule of different kingdoms that have classes. And I've noticed that there are some people who came to ours from different kingdoms as well. And that was very, very encouraging. So in short, happy painting. Now I'm going to go over the questions really quick. I do not have a prize, but I do have another package of seeds. So let's see who deserves the seeds. Let's get to our quiz page. If you have the handout. Oops, excuse me, sorry. Flash woad quiz. Flash woad quiz. Flash woad quiz. Okay, you can answer in the chat if you want. I don't have a problem with that. Oh, thank you, Ariane. I finally just put the chat back up. There's something, yes, it makes a beautiful, beautiful blue. I actually prefer the woad to the indigo, even though I grew up wearing jeans like everybody else. And but thank you so much for that information, Ariane. Put some information about the French woad.
You're welcome. You can't beat French
You're
blue.
always so helpful.
Merci.
If you want to do the quiz, you can unmute yourself. And we can discuss this, and that will be the end of the class after the quiz. There's only 10 questions, so we're going to kind of go through them quickly. Let me move this over. Okay, here we go. Number 1, according to research, how far back does the use of woad or woad go?
The Neolithic.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. It is the Neolithic. Okay. Awesome. Trying to get my, there I am. I'm trying to get this again. No. I've been having computer issues today, I swear. Hold on. There I am. Okay, the next is, out of what we talked about, how many Isatis plants have been used historically by its population? I'm talking by what? I'm like, yeah, by the population.
3 that you mentioned.
The 3 that I mentioned. I'll go over them again.
There might have been a 4th or a 5th somewhere, but 3 that you mentioned.
The 3 that I mentioned, yes. And they were our regular woad, which is Isatis Tinctora. Tinctora. You have the woad plants that come from the east. You have Isatis japonica. And then we also have Indigofera tinctora. And the Indigofera tinctora is, again, our indigo. Thank you so much. The 3 I mentioned. Now this one I didn't talk much about, but you may or may not know it. So I'm going to throw it out there anyway. True or false? Woad is related to cabbage. It'll be true or false.
There were 2 trues in the chat.
I'm stuck outside the big room. Hold on. Oh, there I am. True. Yes, Ariane, I love you. I like to do quizzes and do interactive stuff, so this is fun. Okay, name 3 areas in the world. This is number 4 that woad plants can live. 3 areas.
Therefore, also similar climates in the southern hemisphere.
Huh? I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, Europe, most of Asia, and North America. Therefore, similar climates also in the southern hemisphere.
Yes, yes. And whatever we grow in that climate, I know being a northerner, I know you're from north as well. Being in that particular climate, anything within that, you know, those latitudes and longitudes, they're just, things grow great. When I lived up in New York and in New Jersey, we always had a garden and we always had flowering plants and stuff. And it's got great soil too up there as well. Okay, some people may know this. Number 5, what tribe is Boudica from? Come on, Ariane, you know it.
Of course.
It's you and me playing the game anyway.
The Isatis. And Catherine of Coventry's playing too.
Oh, okay.
It's really close whether I'm going to post it before her or not.
Biting my nails here, waiting for it.
I'm waiting for her to finish the question.
Which question? What tribe is Boudica from?
Iceni.
Iceni. Just like our queen. Her persona is an Iceni Celt. And I knew I liked her as soon as I saw the woad. In older recipes, what is used in the making of the woad dye?
You skipped one. You skipped number 6. Yes.
What's another use for the woad plant, number 6?
Oh, another use for it.
Yes.
Yeah. Not that I'm drinking it, but.
I wrote dye and paint, also medicine.
Yes.
I've got medicine and illumination painting. That's what
Yeah.
I want it for.
Dye is my big one.
Go aquamarine, woad, and all those blues. I love them.
Yes, Coventry actually's economy was primarily woad paint, blue wool fabric.
That's awesome.
Kind of why I picked Coventry.
I think that's good. I like that. Okay, now number 7. In older recipes, what was used in the making of woad dye?
Soda ash.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. It would help take the color and make it into a nice round ball. And then they can keep that ball dry and break off pieces as they need it.
It's also used in madder and weld. So
Yes.
most of the dyes where you extract a dye from a plant, you use either lye, soda ash, or alum, or a combination thereof to get your color.
Okay, number 8. What color will the dye start as?
Greenish, muddy greenish, icky looking stuff.
Icky, who wants it?
It looks kind of gross. But as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at what I mixed with the whiskey, and it's kind of blackish. It's looking pretty black. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Again, it's hair color, so it's not the woad that I want, but it's the woad I got. Okay, number 9. What can be added as a fixative while painting with woad?
Gum Arabic.
Gum Arabic. And I knew that you know, because I know Kathy would know that, Catherine would know that as well.
Yes, that's what
So
we
I
use.
have this package of gum Arabic, and I don't know what to do with it. Wonder who I would talk to.
I got powdered, and I got every form of gum Arabic there is known to man.
And number 10, what does the word picked mean?
Picture.
No.
That I don't
Both,
know.
but no. This was actually found in the Roman writings of going to hang out with the Celts.
Painted maybe, like picture comes from picked.
Very, very close. The
Like
only
you
thing
depict
it's called,
something?
it's painted man
Ah,
is what picked actually is. They were the painted ones, the painted
right.
men. Thank you all so much. I am done with the class. I hope it cleared things up. I'm glad that I have a illuminator and a sewer in the class that stayed to the end. So, you know, because it's important. I, as a Celt, would love to paint my whole body with it. But it's for textiles, and again, it's also used in illumination as well. So again, thank you all very much. If you have any questions, please, you can private message me. I will be putting together a PowerPoint for this, and that will probably be over the weekend. So if you're interested in having the information, there will be a little bit more information on this particular class. It will be PowerPointed, and you can request that from me. That's not an issue at all. So do we think Ariane or Catherine should get the seeds?
I tell you what, Ariane seems to have a better luck with seeds. If I start with plants, I got a better luck.
Gotcha.
So maybe if Ariane starts them, she'll give me a couple.
I was about to say I could do that.
Okay. I will save it for, put your name on it. I have to take Evan wanted some seeds. I'm dropping that off tonight because
Okay.
she's only a few miles from me. So I'm just going to go put it in her mailbox. So
Okay.
I mean, I wish you good luck. I mean, I'm hoping that they take, and that we can get some nice little seedlings out of them. But if they don't, I probably at one point will order them online
Okay.
and hope for the best that they come, you know, with good root balls, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
Thanks again. This
Thank
is
you.
Lady Rebekah, the Gentle of Southbrent.
Merci.
Bye.